Wow, in this super duper webisode, Bitcoin currently has two separate divergences going on in two separate time frames, and we're going to show you exactly what I think that means and exactly where I think Bitcoin's price is heading in the short term, guys, because at this point, I'm a lot more clear and confident in the direction I think Bitcoin's price is heading than I have been in the last few days. As I'm sure you've heard around the space, a lot of people are kind of undecided and very neutral on Bitcoin's position, but I think now we have a very clear picture of where Bitcoin's going to be heading in the very short term. Obviously, we know the long term, even the midterm, guys. We know, most people know and understand that we're going to be heading up, right? The long-term trajectory is very, very up. We're at the beginning of a bull cycle. But specifically in this webisode, we're going to be talking about the short term, because again, I think there's a lot of things showing up on these charts that make it very clear what is next and what is most likely for Bitcoin's price, right? It's kind of becoming very obvious. Welcome back to another super duper scooper Bitcoin Thursday webisode, guys. We have a lot to delve into in regards to Bitcoin's price short term, because I think a lot of things are becoming very clear. And I even have a specific pullback target that I 100% think is kind of the next move for Bitcoin. So guys, with that being said, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you get updated when we upload new videos. Smash the like and remember to leave your comment so you can be entered to win a Ledger Nano S. And without any further ado, let's jump into it, guys. So if we actually start out here on Bitcoin's 1 hour chart, it's becoming very apparent that Bitcoin is kind of shifting momentum. If we go to the longer term time frames, we see how this is obviously shaping up, guys. You can see this is obviously kind of curving down. If we go back to a weekly chart, you can see there is a very clear pattern shaping up here. But specifically, if we go to this 1 hour chart, you see that we have a bearish divergence. I believe it's a hidden bearish divergence here on the 1 hour chart, where we have a high here for Bitcoin's price, and you can see that corresponding RSI here, and then a higher high here on the RSI, but it's actually a lower high here on the actual price for Bitcoin. So we have a hidden bearish divergence for Bitcoin on the 1 hour chart. And then, as we've been talking about for a few days, the very clear bearish divergence, non-hidden bearish divergence on the daily chart, where we had a high right here and then a higher high, but we had a high down here on the RSI and a lower high down here on the RSI. Now, this as well with Bitcoin falling below its very key short-term moving average, the 21-day moving average, which is currently right around the $11,700 level. And currently, guys, we're about $500 below that, right? Right around 11,200. Now, the same thing, we're seeing this across the board, right? We're seeing this for Ethereum, failed to hold the 21-day. That was a very key thing we were watching for the last few days. Still holding some very key support, so that's good. Ethereum is still above some very key levels. Again, still the highest that it's been since back 2 years ago in August of 2018. Then we have Tezos as well, and Tezos has actually been getting hit a little bit harder than some of these top altcoins, which is one of the reasons I like looking at it as well, because we see the momentum. Tezos was dipping before a lot of these other coins, and you see the same thing happening now, where it has not even been fighting with its 21-day moving average for a long time. It's actually been fighting on its 50-day moving average, which at this point it's also below that. So we see Tezos actually struggling to stay pretty much above these previous highs on this chart before we got that breakout all the way up to $4.50. Currently, we're just barely above $3. We actually dipped all the way down to exactly about $3 earlier. Same thing for Chainlink, guys. We're again below its 21-day moving average. Again, I think we're in store for a short-term pullback, and I want to show you exactly on Bitcoin's price where I think that's going to be. Even something like OMG, which was pumping a lot yesterday, guys, we're actually still up significantly, but we are actually significantly above its 21 and 50-day moving averages. And a lot of these maybe, like slightly smaller altcoins that have been absolutely pumping, some of them are still up very significantly, but ultimately I think the momentum of the market is shifting a little bit. And with that being said as well, you guys do know we still have that gap that we put in all the way back on July 24th roughly, right? So over a month ago, the gap down around $9,700 US. So this is where that is, and a lot of people actually think that's going to be filled, and I'm going to show you on these charts what I think is the most likely scenario here. So we're getting all these divergences. Obviously, we pointed out the daily divergence a few days ago now, and so far that's been correct because we have been setting lower highs, okay? You can see that on the 1 hour chart. Every time we come up, we're actually setting lower and lower highs, really ever since August 17th. So for about 10 days now, we had our first lower high back here on August 20th, right around 11,900. And then on August 24th, right around 11,800. And then just most recently, actually, we had this yesterday all the way at 11,550. We actually pumped up to 11,600 a few hours ago. I believe that was because of Jerome Powell's speech. However, immediately got rejected, very sharp rejection there, actually right on this hourly 200-hour moving average right here, right around 11,600. Okay, so the momentum is clearly to the downside. And again, I think this is going to be perfect for evening things out. This is what that gap would look like on this chart. Okay, so this is where the gap lies on this chart. I do think absolutely in the short term that I think that's where we're going to be heading over the next week or so, right? I think we're going to be getting a pullback. Everybody knows, everybody agrees for the most part, this thing is going to absolutely explode over the next few months and years, 100% years. But in the mid to long term, everyone's very bullish on Bitcoin. And I stated in yesterday's video, specifically, I think it makes a lot more sense right now to be short-term bearish. A lot of people have been extremely neutral about the price of Bitcoin in the immediate short term, including myself. But I think today is a really big confirmation that, yeah, I think it is time to flip short-term bearish for Bitcoin's price for a lot of reasons. More importantly, though, on this weekly chart, I think is probably the biggest key, guys. Even in this massive bull run, where if you look at these weekly candles, we're essentially going straight up, right? Bitcoin's price was just going straight up. But what you notice every single time, even as we were going straight up, we got pulled back to the 21-week moving average every single time, right? Back at the beginning of 2017, back in March of 2017, then in the summer around June of 2017, okay, August of 2017. Back here in November of 2017, not quite, but we basically got pulled back very close to it. But then after that, we went parabolic. We tried to find support there. That's where we first broke down. We were underneath it for a very long amount of time. And then we got rejected and we went into like the $3,000, $4,000 range. So ultimately, it's very key that we get pullbacks to the 21-week moving average. So even last summer when we had that massive run up, when we went up extremely vertical, and then we came back, we tried to find support there, and we crashed through it. Then we found a resistance there. Again, we tried to find support there before the absolute giant crash in March, and we failed that as well. So again, the 21-week is huge, and if you notice where we are right now, we're significantly above the 21-week moving average, guys. We not only have we pumped out of this very long-term macro 2.5-year symmetrical triangle, also before that, we went up how many thousands of dollars? We went up like $5,000 in like a few months before that. Okay, so we just had a pretty big breakout above the biggest structural component of Bitcoin's price of the last 3 years. So we broke that, but before we broke that, we went up another $5,000 prior to that, right? So we have been going up for a very long time. It doesn't necessarily seem like it because the price has been kind of boring and not very volatile lately, especially like the past 2 months. Specifically this area here from, what is this, May to the end of July. That was very boring. It was that consolidation pattern that you see right here, right? That ascending triangle right here. This was pretty boring right here. It did end up breaking bullish after all that time. But ultimately, we've been basically going up and sideways for the last 6 months. We haven't really gone down at all, significantly at all in the last 6 months. Okay, I mean, looking at these weekly candles, guys, you see no significant red candles, except obviously for the giant crash back in March, right? So we've been going up since March. So now it makes a lot of sense. I think we definitely have some room for a pullback. This is still macro extremely bullish. This is a very normal thing to see. Okay, even a retest all the way down to, like we've been saying, 8,500 is not horrible in my opinion. I think that's like the absolute lowest that we should go. But again, I'm actually aiming more to, maybe only a few $100s under 10,000 in a wick, but ultimately finding support around 10,000. Currently, the 21-week is actually right around 9,500. Again, that would absolutely fill the CME gap if we did come back to this 21-day moving average. And guys, as you can see, many times, even in an uptrend, it is possible that we, come back and touch it, find the 21-week for support. But there are periods during that initial week where we first come down to it where we do go below it, okay? You saw it back in 2016 multiple times. The last few months, we actually went past it like 3 times during the bull market to begin in 2016, went below that. So I think that's most likely. I think in the short term, like literally over the next 2 or 3 weeks max, I think we're going to see a pullback below 10,000, okay? That's just what I'm eyeing up. And what that also represents is your best buying opportunity that is left in Bitcoin, okay? Not financial advice. But if we come down to the $10,000 level for Bitcoin, and altcoins obviously I think will drop percentage-wise equally the same. If that does happen, if we do get that opportunity, because again, it is likely that maybe we'll just bounce at 11K for 3 weeks and then go up and break 14. But I think if we break 10K, find support there ultimately within that weekly candle, if we do that, that is 100% where I'm basically going to be reinvesting or investing everything else that I plan on investing in crypto, period. Okay, markets are very good at giving second chances, but they're not actually very good at giving third, fourth, and fifth chances, right? So a lot of people think they missed out. A lot of people thought, well, I should have bought down here around 8,000, right? I should have bought even down here during the crash at 6,000 or 7,000. And now people are like regretting it, like, oh well, Bitcoin's 11 now, I missed my chance. First of all, guys, in the long term, I think Bitcoin's going way, way, way higher than 11,000 US dollars. And second, if we do get that pullback, then I 100% think that is exactly that second chance. Okay, historically, the markets don't give you too many chances, but they usually do give you an extra chance. That's why people absolutely love double bottoms so much, because that's what they represent as well. But ultimately, especially with a macro pattern this long, this strong, this large, it would be crazy to not think that we're going to come back and try to retest this for support. Now, with that being said, guys, we actually did exactly what we talked about in yesterday's video, where we come up here and we try to find this, we try to get back above this, and we didn't. We got rejected, right? So we break through it. Okay, we come back to it to try to find support there, to get above it and find support. And instead of finding support, we get rejected. So ultimately, again, that's also showing us further downside. We're probably going to be heading down now. Conversely, when we had this break, if we would have broken this like we did, came back here and then found support and then bounced, that would have been a confirmed positive break. But look what happened. We shot up, we came back to find it for support. We tried for how many, this is like four hourly candles, I think like 4 to 5 3-hourly candles. And then we didn't find the support and we went down, guys. The trajectory has been down since then, right? We've basically been setting lower highs since then. Here, it's basically been, continued lower high after lower high. So you would be crazy, in my opinion, in the immediate short term to think that we're going to 14K by next week. I think we're going to 14K this year. I 100% think that, right? There's only 4 months left of this year. And I think it's very, very possible, very likely even, that we're going to be breaking 14K this year. However, in the next week, I don't think we're going to be breaking 14K, right? I want to be very specific. In the next week, I don't think we're going to be breaking 14K. Ultimately, now I think what we want to do is enter, a pullback and then set a bullish continuation pattern, guys. So we've been extremely bullish. If we look on these macro time frames, this is bullish. Now we want to actually set some sort of new pattern here. Specifically, I think we should come and at least revisit that 21-week moving average. And as well, ultimately, that'll get that gap out of everyone's mind as well. So you're killing like 2 birds with 1 stone. Massive. So I think that we're probably going to be visiting the $9,700 to $9,800 level in the next 2 weeks. And guys, huge. If things change, I'll update it in a video, right? The market is always changing. It is always adapting. Wow. And guys, if you're interested in joining T4, where you can learn trading, get access to my portfolio on Telegram and what I'm doing specifically with a lot of these coins that aren't Bitcoin, make sure to use the code millions at checkout to get 15% off. And as well, if you're interested in trading, we have some of the highest bonuses on YouTube below. So if you sign up with that link below, you get access when you deposit initial Bitcoin amounts in there. And wow, stay sassy, my friends.